Greetings, gamers! Welcome to my Let's Play Fire Emblem 9 Path of Radiance on difficult mode. In the year of our Lord Jesus Christ, 2023, I am beginning a brand new Let's Play of Path of Radiance. I'm very excited. As I've done a Let's Play of this game before, I have never done a difficult mode run, which is going to be what is the primary objective behind this gameplay, is that I want to show off the full experience of difficult mode. But not only that, I have a few stipulations. First and foremost, this is going to be a pre-promote only run. Now, of course, in the early game of Path of Radiance, just like most Fire Emblem games, you do not actually have the option of using very many pre-promotes. So, with that being said, the early game is going to be pretty standard. I'm going to be using basically the entire Greil mercenaries in order to get to the point where I can use said pre-promotes. Now, however, there are going to be a few caveats to this pre-promote only run. First of which being an obvious one, Ike. He is the main character of this game. I do not bench the main character of any of my playthroughs, so I'm going to be using him. Now, the other two caveats are specifically and only for healing. In Path of Radiance, the devs at Intelligent Systems decided that the way that they were going to nerf or balance, I should say, sages is by making it so that they do not have staves upon pre-promotion. So pre-promoted sages don't have access to staves. So in order for me to use any healing magics, I'm going to have to use 2 units that aren't pre-promoted. And that's just something I cannot avoid. One of those is going to be pretty obvious, the other one is going to be pretty interesting. So we're going to be getting into that when we reach said units. Now, first and foremost, we are going to be starting a beautiful new game on difficult mode. Now, very unfortunately, I'll save that for a moment later.
Enough? Oh, missed.
Oh no!
Missed that song.
Ah, you're up. About time.
Prologue Mercenaries. Yes, I most certainly am. All right, Mist. Now, very unfortunately, I was going to play this game on fixed mode, but because I cannot find my previous save data where I did complete this game, we have to do without it. I'm going to do a fixed mode playthrough one of these days just to show how cool it is, because it's very underrated. A lot of people don't really understand it or know it. But another unfortunate thing about this game is the voice acting. The voice acting in this game is... The Tellius games were done dirty with the darn voice acting and the whole cinematics. I just don't think that they work. Are you all right? Yeah, I'll be fine. So, the Sleeping Prince awakens. Father, I can't believe you. I know those are practice swords, but they're still heavy. You have no right to be so rough on Ike. If this is too much for the boy, he'll never make it as a mercenary. But... Mist, you don't have to worry. I told you I'm fine. Ah, you'd better be. Now grab your sword and get ready. What? Don't tell me you're going to go at it again, but... Just until I land a single blow. I'm not giving up until I can get one good hit in on Father. I like your resolve, Ike, but it takes more than a strong will to... Aha! I knew I'd find you here. Hi, Boyd. What brings you here? Nothing special. You said you were going to get the boss, but you never came back. I got picked to check up on you. Oh, sorry, I got caught up with Ike and my father. It's nothing. Besides, I figured I'd get a good laugh watching Ike get worked over by the boss. You look fine. What happened? Nothing at all. I'm sorry to disappoint you. You just missed it. Just a minute ago, he was out cold. Missed? Sorry. You came at just the right time, Boyd. You can be Ike's sparring partner. What? Me? I'm beginning to think it would be better if he sparred with someone closer to his own skill. I understand. Thanks for your help, Boyd. I don't know about this closer to his skill business, but I'm ready. All right, I'm ready for you. Let's go. Alright, so first things first, as I always do in these Let's Plays, is I mess with the options. And we're definitely turning Rumble Feature off. I don't like Rumble Feature. I've never cared for it. I don't think it's any useful for my own tastes and gaming. I guess Surround would be fine. Unit facing, we're not going to have access to the bonus experience points menu because, again, I don't have a previous completed playthrough on this memory card. Now, one thing I will talk about is animations. So just like I did with Thracia, I'm going to be doing with this. There is going to be a time at which I turn off the animations and leave them off for the majority of the game until I have reached a certain point in the game. That time is going to be Chapter 5. From Chapter 5 onward, I'm leaving the animations off. The animations will come back on Chapter 27, a specific part of said chapter. Now, granted, yes, that's a lot of chapters without animations, and I understand that, but it's going to take maybe 10 to 20 episodes off of this Let's Play, and not that I want things to be sped up just for the sake of being sped up. I think it is better to show off the whole game with all of its attributes in a more concise amount of time, especially because I'm going to be limiting my episodes to 30 minutes like I did with Thracia. I think that's a very good time frame around that. I never hard capped it to exactly 30 minutes, but just around it, between, like 30 to 40 at max. And I just think that that works best, especially for all the platforms I do upload to, because I upload to quite a few. But with that being said, that means that we'll have at least a little bit of time to enjoy the animations of this first entry of the Tellius games. Now, first and foremost, we are going to talk about the main lord, Ike. He is a ranger, which is nothing to do with a lordly-like character, as we are used to in the Fire Emblem franchise. Highly versatile warriors dedicated to improving their martial skills. They wield swords with remarkable skill. Don't understand why it says they or their. When Ike is the only ranger in this game, it should just say he and him. English is not that difficult, and being a man who is very particular about his English and has taught it to some degree for many years, I can't stand when people use they and it to describe individual people. It angers me to no end. It's a disgusting modernist way of believing that I don't adhere to. But moving on to more important things and less ridiculous things, we have Ike here. And Ike has some pretty astonishing growths. 75% HP, 50% strength, 20% magic, 50% skill, 55% speed, 35% luck, 40% defense, and 40% resistance. This man is buff. He is going to eventually reach a point where he has both an extreme amount of defense and an extreme amount of resistance, which is great because you kind of want your main lord to have the ability to tank. A lot of times, especially when we saw my playthrough in Thracia, I gave Leaf all of the early game stat boosters, like the life ring, the shield ring, the speed ring, and those were all specifically to make him more survivable, especially in the monster escape arc. Very important. But Ike doesn't really need it so much, especially because the game scales a little bit differently than Thracia. Thracia is a very, very interesting beast. One of my favorite games of all time for a reason. This game is very easy throughout. And it's not because they purposely made an easy game. It's more or less that your characters scale a little bit too much. They have too much growth potential. And on fixed mode, you're guaranteed those growths. On fixed mode particularly, the reason why I wanted to play fixed mode is because whatever your growth rates are, that's what you're going to get. If you have a 50% strength growth, that means you are getting strength guaranteed 1 every 2 levels. If you have a 20% magic growth, that means you are getting magic guaranteed 1 out of every 5 levels. Now there are ways in fixed mode to kind of supplement this. There are bands, and they sort of work like scrolls in Thracia, except for the fact you can only equip 1 at a time, and they're very meager stat changes. One of them, for instance, gives like plus 5% magic. If you gave that to Ike, he would instead gain magic 1 out of every 4 levels instead of 1 out of every 5, which is actually significant, but it's not significant enough to matter. With his bases being relatively good, we're stuck with trainers here. These are weapons that are only in the prologue. There's a training sword and a training axe. Very interesting weapons. You can't really possibly mess with them. 150 hit is kind of insane. But Ike is a pretty darn good unit. He starts with D rank in swords, which is nowhere near as good as Leaf's starting point, C rank, especially because in Thracia, you can only get up to an A rank in weapons, whereas this game you can get up to an S. So you'd think automatically that that would make Ike a little bit less viable because he doesn't have as much of a sword rank value, but the problem is that there are really no interesting weapons in this game. And I hate saying that, but beyond C rank killing weapons, there's really nothing interesting. The brave weapons are garbage. Still gonna use them, of course, but they're by and large garbage. And Ike gets himself 2 personal weapons, 2 preferential weapons, I should say. One in the early game, relatively soon, and one in the late game that just, it's one of the best weapons in the entire series. Let's be real. Now, this page here, I am not going to be demonstrating this page or talking about this page in any capacity with any unit outside of Ike. And the reason being is because it's irrelevant. First and foremost, we have Attribute, which is the divine protection this unit receives. This affects his affinity with other units. So, Earth is the greatest affinity in the game because it gives purely a void. And if you were to support him with other Earth affinity units, he just becomes unhittable. Now, the affinities are useful, and I'm not saying that they aren't, but it's not really that relevant for this Let's Play because most of the units I will not have supporting partners. And that's just due to the fact that most of the pre-promotes don't know each other or have any bonds or supports with one another. Now, some of them still do, but it's still kind of irrelevant. I'll talk about the bonuses when they come about. Now, Biorhythm, talk about something that's even less relevant than Affinity. Biorhythm is the units... Okay, so unit's biorhythm. When the marker is high, the unit performs better. When it's low, the unit suffers penalties. This is the dumbest, most arbitrary mechanic that was added to the Tellius games, and it is in both, unfortunately. Now, at high biorhythm, it's plus 5% avoid, and at low biorhythm, it's minus 5% avoid. Now, it's 5% hit and avoid. Sorry to say that. The middle line is 0, and the lines in between is 2.5. So it's very irrelevant. There are some characters who have that even halved. Biorhythm effects halves, and there are some characters who have it doubled. So you're getting 10 avoid and 10 hit at max. Now the minus 10 in hit and avoid is pretty detrimental on those specific characters, but it's not really relevant for my playthrough. I almost never worry about biorhythm. And even though you can manipulate biorhythm in Radiant Dawn, it's still pretty near worthless, and I hate that. Now, one thing I do like about this game that was added is the ability to shove and smite. Now, rescuing is not new to the series, but your build and your weight, which are both on this screen right now, determine your ability to shove and smite, rescue and drop, as well as your ability to give and take. It's very cool because the shove and smite commands are two things that I wish had stuck around as a series staple because they are fantastic. Now, speaking of this screen, I kind of really glossed over it, really quickly glossed over it, and only spoke of Ike's weapon level, but truly there is more to it. So, for instance, in skill, we have Soldier and Citizen. Soldier is your class skill. Why in the world Intelligent Systems decided that instead of writing class skill, they put Soldier skill is beyond me, especially because it just doesn't really make sense, especially the Citizen part. Citizen is your personal skill, and what's kind of really strange about Citizen skill is you're not fighting as a citizen. You know, you're not really a soldier. It doesn't make any sense. But that's really what they mean by it. So Soldier is class skill, Citizen is personal skills. Ike has neither, but he does have a capacity of 20. Now in this game, skills take up capacity points. So for instance, Adept, something that I loved in Thracia, it makes a return in this game. It's not as good in this game, I don't think, particularly. But part of that is due to the fact that it takes up 10 capacity. So Ike could only have that alongside one other 10 capacity skill or 2 5 capacity skills. On average, there are 5 capacity, 10 capacity, 15, 20, and 25 capacity skills. Nothing goes below or above. I was almost mixing up those words there. Now, Ike is also a Bjork, which is his type. The unit's race. This affects bonuses the character receives. Funny, but also not correct, because only Bjork have bonuses and only upon transformation, or only Legus, sorry. Bjork don't have bonuses. Now, if he had armored or mounted, that'd be a different story, but we're not really going to go much over that. You're going to see. If a unit is mounted, he's mounted. If he's armored, he's armored. It's pretty simple. We'll go over Legus when the time comes. With all that being said, however, we are going to go ahead and move right here. Now, you could attack Boyd. You are doing exactly enough to KO him twice. However, on difficult mode, Boyd will attack you. So what you want to do intelligently to waste less healing items in this particular prologue is you actually want to just wait. Hey, what's the holdup? Let's get started already. I'm coming. Wait right there. And here he comes, attacking us.
You can do it. Boyd's got nothing. Take him out.
Nothing? I don't have nothing. I mean, I have... I mean... You look like you got nothing to me. Very strange. Whenever I load in this game, the prologue always has very janky animations. Outside of the prologue, it's not really that big a deal, though. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and finish off Boyd here with one fell swoop. Or is it two? A decent amount of experience points. We are in difficult mode. You do get much less experience points for this game mode. That wasn't too bad.
Boyd, you're such a loser.
Shut your trap. Good work, Boyd. That's enough. Oh, alright. Your swordsmanship was decent enough, Ike. Don't forget how it felt. It won't always be easy. I know. Now that you're done warming up, it's time for you to face me again. I was hoping you'd say that. But first, Mist?
Right here. Here you go, Ike. It's a vulnerary. I'd recommend using it now before you fight Father. Last time he knocked you silly.
Always take time to heal your wounds in battle, even small ones. By the time you think you're in trouble, it's probably too late. Don't get into that situation. And we have Greil, Ike's father, and he's a hero. The only hero in the entire game. Not really pleased with that decision. He has an A rank in swords and an S rank in axes. Allows his unit to control strength when training. Discipline. A skill that is only seen in the prologue for obvious reasons. Alright, so his stats are kind of laughable, but discipline actually makes all of his stats, I believe, it's either minus 15 or minus 20. So imagine all of his current stats plus 20. It's plus 20. So 25 strength, 24 magic, 24 skill, 26 speed, 22 luck, defense, and resistance, and 42 HP. Pretty beefy. Now, if vulneraries were as good as they were in Thracia, we wouldn't have to worry about attacking Boyd first. But vulneraries only heal 10 HP in this game. Radiant Dawn kind of fixes this, but man. Now, elixirs still exist in this game, which are basically the full heal of a vulnerary in Thracia, but they're very rare, and you can't purchase them until basically endgame. Get ready, Ike. Here I come. Give it your all. As long as you are at full health, before you begin your fight with Greil, you can never lose this prologue. Come on, boy. You're going to give me a challenge this time around? So we're going to go ahead and attack, and we'll see right here. We're doing 9 damage. We're going to KO him in 2 more hits. He needs 3 more hits. Neither one of us are doubling, so this is an easy fight. Again, as long as you are at full health. Losing the prologue is kind of embarrassing, but it's probably happened to all of us at least once, right? I wouldn't believe Ike beat Greil even if he was at max stats. Greil is too good. Alright, so we get HP and luck. I wish we were on fixed mode. I wish I was on fixed mode. Let's just be real.
Ike, you were great.
Father, you were holding back, weren't you?
What? Is that true?
If you could tell the difference, that means you're improving. You know, I wasn't really giving it my all either.
That is such a lie.
Bah! So, Father, does that mean you finally admit that I'm ready? What? To join the company? To take on a job? Yeah, I mean, Boyd's already out there on the battlefield. I'm ready. I'm tired of being a trainee. Listen, the difference between you and me is that I'm a professional.
A professional who just got beat.
That was just random chance. Random chance! You've got a good point, Ike. All right, tomorrow will be your first day as a full-fledged mercenary. Really? But if I think it's too much, you're back to trainee status. You'd better work hard. No problem. Watch, I'll catch up to everyone in no time. Understatement of the year. We'll see. We'd better be headed back to the fort. Everyone's waiting. Ike has too great a growth not to catch up. Let's be real. Chapter 1. The Battle Begins. Mercenary Fort.
Good morning, Ike. Today's your first day as a professional soldier, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm ready to go. What you are is late. The others were suited up and ready at the break of dawn. Sorry, I'll get up earlier from now on. So, what's my first job? I'm talking with Titania right now. Wait outside until we're done. Yes, sir.
Very well, Commander. Shall we continue?
You were telling me about some bandits that needed taken care of, weren't you?
Correct. The request comes from a nearby village. According to our reports, the bandits are not at all that strong. I think it best if I ride out and take a look. I plan on taking Oscar and Boyd along with me.
Just the brothers? Go ahead and add Ike to your team. Shinon, Gatry, and I can handle the other two jobs easily enough. Titania, I'm leaving Ike in your care. I'm trusting you to show him the ropes.
Understood, Commander. Come on, Ike. Let's get you set up.
All right. My first job. Captain Titania, preparations are complete and I'm ready to go.
Impeccable timing. It's nice to know we can always count on you to be at the ready, Oscar.
Don't forget about me. I'm ready for action.
Is that so, Boyd? That's a surprise.
Ha! Not today it isn't. As of today, I'm going to be the absolute model of perfection. I need to set a good example for Ike.
I'll take your word for it.
Your first campaign at last. I know you've wanted this for a while. Are you nervous, Ike?
I think I was more nervous last night. I could hardly sleep. This morning, I'm feeling pretty good. It's the calm before the storm.
You should try to relax. You're not going to be out there alone.
Yeah, you're right. Right, everyone ready? Let's go.
Chaldea.
This is the village of Chaldea. The bandits are few, but we mustn't get careless. Our goal is to take out the bandit leader in front of the large building, and then secure that building.
Ike, listen up. All this stuff is old news to me, but I can give a rookie like you a few tips. First off, don't let yourself get worked up and jump out in front of everyone. You'll just end up getting hurt. Don't try to do too much, Ike. When things get dangerous, you can and should rely on us. As long as you watch how the enemy moves carefully, you'll be fine. Think of this as a training mission. I'll do that. Oscar, Boyd, thanks for your help. Don't mention it. Just sit back and watch how a professional handles things.
Enough chit-chat, you three. We've got work to do.
Awesome, awesome. So, let us go ahead and move forward. Firstly and foremostly, Ike has 1,000,000 swords. This is, I believe, a problem of the North American version only. He doesn't need this many swords. In fact, even if you soloed the game with Ike, it is not likely that he would break these swords in the next, 15 chapters. Alright, so we're going to visit this house, first and foremost. Ah, you're with the mercenaries, right? Thank you for coming. We've heard a lot about you. Here, take this weapon. We're farmers, not fighters. Maybe you'll get some use from it.
Steel sword. Nice. And then we can trade said steel sword. I don't know if that was actually necessary. I like taking up this formation here because all three of my units will only get attacked by one singular unit next turn, and I like also moving Titania as far up as possible and equipping her iron axe.
What's going on out there? Is that some sort of army? Pah, a bunch of mercenaries looking for their next meal. Villagers must have hired them. Listen up, lads. Hurt them and hurt them bad. We let this bunch live, and we'll have hordes of hired swords hounding us for the rest of our days.
It's those fool villagers. They think they can buy a bunch of sail swords to chase us away. It ain't gonna work how they want it. All they get for their trouble is a bunch of ruined houses. Tear 'em down, boys. That'll teach 'em.
Hey, and swinging an axe lights a house on fire. That's a interesting conundrum. All right. You picked the wrong dude to fight with, but being real, he couldn't really pick anybody else to fight with, could he now? Boy doing a pretty significant amount of damage, and let's see, Ike should take on this guy. Titania is probably going to get attacked by at least one unit this turn, which is good. Thin the Horde. After all, Titania is a pre-promote. We are going to be using her permanently. So the whole idea of her taking up experience points is of no necessity to me. No worry, no issue. Alright, Titania, you've got this, of course. As always, it's better to use the iron axe for this because the steel axe comes in handy very much so later on when she needs the damage. Better not to waste it. With all that being said, however, I think this is a perfect opportunity to say my farewells. I want to thank you for joining me. If you like my content, please upvote and follow, or like and subscribe depending on your platform, and while you're at it, have a great and glorious day gaming.